Well, hello again, folks, and it's nice to have you back with me today. In today's build, I am going to be drilling a couple of holes in this 4x4 by 1/4 inch thick tubing. I need to use this in an upcoming build. I'm going to be building a stand for my South Bend lathe, and I would like to see if just putting threads in this tubing is going to be strong enough, or if I'm going to have to weld a nut on the back. So I'm going to be doing both on this piece of tubing to see which one is better. First, I'll be drilling a hole and cutting the threads. Then I'll use this bolt and nut combo here to hold the lower nut in place so I can accurately weld it. I'm using these heavy-duty hold downs to hold the tubing to the drill press so I can get it nice and solid to drill the holes in here. I'll be using the mighty Grizzly drill press today. I also forgot to tell you I'm in the makerspace, and you're going to hear someone in the background blacksmithing, so you're going to hear the constant pound of the hammer. I apologize for that, but it's actually doesn't really affect the video that much. You want to always make sure you're using plenty of cutting fluid or at least oil to keep your drill bit from overheating. It'll stay sharp a lot longer that way. Well, I'm back in the machine shop area now. I'm just going to clamp this thing in the vise so I can get a good solid hold on it while I cut the threads. Unfortunately, I forgot my tap and die set at home and had to use the cheap Chinese one from the makerspace. I was able to cut it. I put a little tap magic here on the tap. It actually took a little bit of doing to get this thing started. That cheap little tap holder was not doing me any favors. Got it lined up the best I could and started to cut threads. It did work, but I wound up breaking the tap handle. I felt the tap handle gave away here, so I backed the tap out. I was able to wedge it in there and cut the threads the rest of the way. Then I had to break the news to the machine shop manager that the tap broke, which I thought was going to be kind of a big deal. He had a look on his face like he was going to ask me to pay for it. And then he told me that they actually have the good tap holders in the other toolbox, which that was a nice time to tell me then. He does have some really nice tap holders, so these cheap Chinese ones I think he keeps for the people who are just kind of the people who don't keep track of tools too well. He doesn't tell them where the good tap holders are. But I did get the rest of the threads cut here. Then it was on to the actual torque test. Grab the big socket and start wrenching on this thing. Put about 30 pounds of torque on it to see if it breaks or not. And I have to admit, it felt really mushy. I could kind of tell that it was not going to hold up. So I decided to remove the bolt and do a little inspection on the threads to see if they held up. And they didn't hold up so great. They kind of were, you can see they're there, but they were just kind of pulled a little bit wonky, so I guess I'm going to have to abandon that idea. And it's back to the drill press to drill the second hole and see if we can get a nut welded in there. And as you can hear, our little blacksmith friend is making some noise for us. Should be okay though. And here I'm just attaching the nut with another bolt and nut so I can hold it straight and tight so I can weld it a little easier. Well, now it's welding time. I got the camera set right on top of the welding table. That's why you're seeing that little jiggly movement of the camera here, but we'll get through it. Just kind of weld it up, just do a couple of spot welds and call it good. Well, I stood this thing on end here so I can inspect the weld on this nut, see what it looks like, see if it'll hold. Well, it's not real pretty, but I think it should hold okay. I'm going to take it back to the shop and do the test on it. Now I'm back in my place of employment here. It's a lot quieter. And I'm going to go ahead and test this bolt, put about 35 foot-pounds of torque on it and see if it holds. And it did hold, and it felt a lot more solid than just tapping out the steel. I actually increased it here. You'll see me increase it to about 40 foot-pounds, and it still felt really solid. So I will be welding a nut on for sure and not just tapping the steel. Although when I pulled this bolt out of there, this is not a grade 5 or grade 8 bolt. When I build it, I will be using grade 8 bolts. Those are very, very strong. These are just cheap old bolts, and the bolt did stretch a little bit. It's a little bit much torque for a 3/8 inch bolt. It should be about 25 to 30 foot-pounds. Just to recap here, you want to make sure that you always have extra material. Always buy extra, just in case you screw up. But also to test, you want to test your welds. What does your metal weld like? Also, when you're drilling and tapping like I did here, you're going to want to make sure that it's right and you're not making a mistake. If I would have just gone ahead and tapped it like I was going to originally do, it would have been a devastating mistake. I'm going to be welding some angle iron on the ends of these things, and when those taps failed, I would have had to grind all that weld out of there and redo it. That would have been a nightmare. It would have really sucked. But hopefully this video didn't suck. Hopefully I got something out of it. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I will do my best to answer them. And if you enjoy this type of content, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I will see you next time.